With another E3 in the books, gamers have more reasons than ever to be excited about this holiday season. We're going to show you the sights and sounds of possibly the best E3 ever. HGO, next. Welcome to HGO, where fanboys fear to tread, along with Rated H. I am Trackdown. This year's E3 was a big event, just like every year's E3 is, but this one might have been the biggest yet, and we're going to take a look inside.
Despite the controversy surrounding Sony's pricing strategy, the games that debuted at E3, among them the newest sequels to two of the most popular and long-lived franchises, Metal Gear and Final Fantasy, are already looking to be highly anticipated.
The PlayStation 3 hype train started at last year's E3 and continued on to Tokyo Game Show, but since then not a lot has been told about the new console that Sony's looking at. This year, they opened up the box a little bit, and at this year's E3, we found out a lot more about the price and the system that you're all going to want to buy this December. You have two different configurations you can shoot for. $500 gets you your PlayStation 3 with Blu-ray capability, a 20GB hard drive, and an Ethernet port so you can access the internet for free. On top of that, if you wanted to drop another $100 on the system, you're going to get all of that with a 60GB hard drive, a media card reader, and Wi-Fi capability as well as HDMI if you want to use a nice little system like we have here. Sony also made a decision on the controller, and ironically enough, the Boomerang is not coming back. This time around, they're going to just stick with what's been working for them ordinarily with the DualShock shape. The rumble might be gone, but instead you're going to be getting a tilt sensation, kind of like the Wii's controller, which will allow you to sense what direction you're moving in. It's also going to be wireless, so that those of you who have wires strewn everywhere are now going to have a cleaner apartment.
So we have the deck, but what goes good with black? Sony's first-party titles are already looking to be quality games, and many of them made a splash with gamers at the event. Warhawk not only showed off some great graphical prowess, but it also showed how someone could use the tilt function on the new DualShock 3 controller to control the ship rather than using the analog stick or the joypad.
God of War fans got their wish with a new game like Heavenly Sword. Big-time action, big-time arenas, and big-time thrills. This new game is showing off some incredible Blu-ray feats as well as showing off the cell's processor power. With huge arenas, tons of enemies, and even some stuff going on in the background that distract you from all the guys that are about to kill you.
Square Enix brought forth Final Fantasy XIII, a gaming bombshell if there ever was one. Graphically speaking, there isn't much difference between the cutscenes and the actual gameplay.
Rounding out the scene was Kojima Productions' Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. All your favorite characters are back for one last round to fight against the big evil of Liquid Ocelot. Oh, and Ryan's back too. These
are only a small sample of the best, and there are more in store. But for now, the PS3 looks like it's going to be pretty impressive at launch.
Despite Sony's promising showing at E3, the price point was a big shock for most of those at the event. $500 to $600 is a lot to ask for a game console, no matter how much is in it. It remains to be seen how much this is going to actually affect it, but it is still an awful lot to look for, and could be a problem at Sony's launch. And with all the games and all the features that we saw, one that was notably absent was online support. Now, we do have SingStar, which is going to show us a downloadable database of music, but other than that, Sony didn't really talk about it much. They need to have this fleshed out. We need to know what we're buying by the time November 17th comes around. As impressive as the showings that we've seen of Sony's trailers before of games like Killzone, which was absent this time around, and also Metal Gear Solid 4, which was still there, we've seen some really bad trailers lately too. Tekken 6 in particular did not look anywhere near its E305 counterpart. This is forgivable 6 months from launch, but at TGS, Sony's going to have to put up or shut up.
The big advantage, as far as a lot of people think, for the PS3 is that it's going to function as a relatively cheap Blu-ray player. So what we have here is a Blu-ray player that's somewhere between $500 and $600 rather than the current price point of most Blu-ray players, which is about $1,000 to $1,500. But is this actually going to be worth it? Is it really that much of a step up from the DVD, like the DVD was for the VHS of the cartridge? Or is this going to be a repeat of the Betamax? Sony's going to have to show us what it's like. Let's take a comparative look at what we know. Nintendo lost a lot of support the transition from the SNES to the N64 after they kind of left us high and dry on their promise of the 64DD. So what we have now is that the PlayStations are the console of choice for most RP gamers. And if it's going to be this way in the future, Sony's going to have some profit no matter what they do.
Nintendo's still got Game on the Cube, but what happens when Miyamoto and company think outside of the box? Remember, it's not about you or I, it's about we when we return.
I really can't say one way or another. Blu-ray disc, I would buy a Blu-ray DVD player if I wanted to, but then again, Blu-ray films are not cheap, and I'm not going to buy anything over again on that since from the transition to VHS to DVD, I bought everything over again already, so to do it yet again, only after so few years, kind of gets under my skin. I'm not liking that idea. But anything future-wise, films being released, yeah, I would pick up on Blu-ray, obviously, but I'm not picking up PS3 at launch anyway. I need a few price drops. Let's say $300 would be justifiable. Agreed. It is, you know, that time in history to where you are going to have to pay that much for a good system. But $600, yeah, that's a vacation. Is that Ivana Trump? Hi, I'm Michael Hojadi, and you're watching HGO, Hardcore Gamers Only.
With the new generation comes new technology, and Sony's not got the monopoly on this one. Nintendo's coming out big, revamping the controller that you've come to know and love for the last 20 years.
The Wii was the most popular attraction at E3, with lines as long as 6 hours, and yet, gamers endured to try their hand at what Nintendo hopes will be a revolutionary new system. Among the popular titles that Nintendo's putting out are Super Mario Galaxy, Zelda Twilight Princess, and Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Nintendo was not making a next-generation console. Now what this means is that they're focusing on the gameplay and the way the game is played more than anything else. And yet, these ideas sometimes fall short. The fusion of handheld and console didn't turn out exactly the way Nintendo wanted it to be, and in fact is only supported by a limited number of games on the GameCube. Is Nintendo's controller going to turn out this way? It's up to them to prove it to us. The GameCube and the N64 both suffered from the same problem, lack of support, and thus, lack of games. The games that they did have tended to be, on the whole, criticized as being childish. This includes games that I personally love, such as Zelda Wind Waker. Is the Wii going to continue in this trend? Or will games like Red Steel or Twilight Princess prevail? Right now, what we know about the Wii's hardware seems pretty weak. Moreover, we have to wonder how long it is that Nintendo can rely on gimmicks. The DS seemed like a great idea at first, but it's only taken advantage of by a handful of games, like Trauma Center or Gyakuten Saiban, which is Phoenix Wright in the US.
The new controller is going to show us a brand new way to play games, and it's going to get rid of the 20-year-old convention that we've been looking at so far. Nintendo has been telling gamers for the longest time to press left and A to slash in Zelda. Now, grab the controller yourself and slash it yourself, and Link's going to do the same thing for you. Same thing with Madden. You want to go back to pass? Go back to pass. Grab the controller, fling it forward. Hopefully the controller doesn't fly with it, but hey, that's going to be the new controller for the new generation. In 2006 and 2007, Nintendo's going to be bringing out their big hitters. Smash Bros. Brawl, Metroid, Zelda, Mario, they're all there and they're all waiting to go. These big games are going to push Nintendo right into the limelight, and they're going to sell systems like you wouldn't believe. This coming Christmas is going to be a great Christmas for gamers, but not a lot of them are going to be packing the $400 to $600 price range that Microsoft or Sony may want you to pay. In that case, the Wii is going to be a much better outfit, as Nintendo has already said. We're looking at about a $250 ceiling on that. So it's not going to break your bank over the holidays, and that might be the selling point. When November rolls around, the 360 will have done a complete turnaround itself, but how good is it going to look in its second generation? We take a look at its sophomore effort when we come back.
Wait a minute, put down that controller. We're not done yet. The next episode of HGO is waiting for you. Death of a franchise, where the biggest hitters are going to be taking the biggest sleep ever. HGO, for hardcore gamers only.